What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 11 of Procedurally Generated, the show about the random history of video games. My name's Chris Weber, and I am here with John Carson.
That's me. Hey.
Hi.
How's it going?
It's good. It's good, man.
Excellent.
Enjoying
yourself a nice Tuesday?
I am.
Spoilers,
yes.
We are recording this on a Tuesday.
Yes. I hope you don't feel spoiled.
No, it's been a long week, Chris.
It's Tuesday, John. Come on.
I mean, since the last recording.
Oh, okay. I see. Full actual week. Got it.
Since then, I guess we didn't really talk about this as a topic, but we did start our YouTube channel.
We did. Yes.
That is up and running. Every episode of Procedurally Generated from the past, all 10 episodes prior to this, are currently on there. And every episode going forward will be on there as well.
That's right. Might even be a little bonus content on there.
Yes, there is. We've added your play session of Corpse Party from the last couple of weeks on your stream. Those are going up in 30-minute chunks or so. Yeah. Hopefully those will all be up this week. We have the first 2 episodes up. For some reason, when I pushed the first episode live yesterday, I forgot to put the second one up yesterday as well. And then I checked today and neither of them were up. And I didn't make the playlist live. Or I didn't make the playlist live for the actual podcast episode. So all of that is up.
That's what we call growing pains.
Yeah. We will learn as we go here. I've been having some weird issues with YouTube and having it stick with the customizations that I'm setting. So hopefully things will play nice. But otherwise I've been happy with the stuff that we're putting up there currently.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
I should probably go ahead and work on the rest of that video too and get those ready to go.
It wouldn't hurt.
Yep.
But there's an hour of gameplay on there right now for people to watch who are of age. Those are very mature videos.
Yes.
So 18
because
plus,
because of the themes of the game. I consider myself like on Twitch. I do have 18 and over. We don't get too crazy or anything, but we do occasionally drop swearsies and stuff like that. That really doesn't have anything to do with why I made this 18 plus. It's because of the content in the game. There is some dark stuff in there. So 18 plus only for that specific series.
Yeah. And for the podcast itself, I don't think we've really specified this in the past, but we do try to keep the podcast family friendly. So the podcasts are typically safe. I will say an ass or a damn here and there, but otherwise, I think it's pretty safe for the youngins' ears. But yeah, I've just been cranking out those videos all week though. So that's really been most of my week. I was wondering what did I do? Where did the time go this last week outside of world events? That was a crazy thing that happened. But I was able to fill a lot of that time as well with rendering videos and making thumbnails for our videos and putting stuff up on the YouTube channel. And it's a good start.
Yeah.
Great start.
And so far. We didn't talk about this at all. And I don't want to get really into it, but I do feel an obligation to at least touch on it, at least briefly. And if it comes out poorly, we'll edit it out. Because I haven't talked to John about this, but I had somebody talk to me after my stream, sent me a message and opened my eyes to this kind of situation and how we have to approach it and what it means to discuss it. And like I said, I'm not going to get into it. I'm not going to get into the finer details of it. What I will say is that if you support what happened at the Capitol, we're not interested in having you here. And political views aside, I feel comfortable saying that. And John, like I said, I don't know if that's maybe too risque for the podcast, but the fact is what happened was a national tragedy. And I think it was one of the most horrific things I've ever seen in my life. There's no good that can come of something like that. And if you are for it and you would encourage it, we don't want you here. I said the same thing on my Twitch channel. And I got a message afterwards that made me feel like saying that kind of stuff does go a long way. I've been passive about a lot of things that have happened.
It was a supportive message. You didn't.
No, it was a good message.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, it was a good message.
I will say that I echo your sentiments 100%. So
okay. Yeah.
I think that's really all that we need to say about it. It's
we're not a political podcast. We're not trying to get into politics. To me, it's not politics. It's good versus evil at this point. And there's no, that's all it is. That's us saying this is bad. There's no way you're going to, explain that this is, there's no way to
spin it as good. So,
yeah.
All right.
So,
on to
now that
happier topics, Chris.
Yes, absolutely.
So, you've been really just cruising through games on your stream.
I have.
Whether it's Final Fantasy 13 Lightning Returns. And by blazing through, I mean you stopped in for a quick drink and then you left.
There's cruising and then there's speed bumps.
But you finally played one of the PlayStation 5's killer apps.
I did, yes,
all the way through. So
in fact, since we recorded, I've finished 2 games. One of them is Astro's Playroom, which I think is the game that you were referencing.
It sure is. It wasn't Spider-Man because I know you won't touch it.
No, sorry, but no, I had a really good time with Astro's Playroom. We collected all the collectibles. I didn't get the platinum, which is fine. I'm not a platinum hunter. I know some people were pushing for me to do it, but sometimes I think platinums artificially prolong an experience. Which I had such a good time with Astro that doing some of the trophies that would have been required to get a platinum, I think would have actually started to negatively impact my time with the game. So,
sure.
I enjoyed the game so much though. What a treat for a pack-in game. I have to think it's one of the best pack-in games I've ever played.
Oh, totally. It has to be.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful little celebration of the history of PlayStation and third-party and first-party games alike. It's a joy to play. It feels great.
Yes.
The platforming's incredible. It looks really nice. It really is on par with like the Nintendo aesthetic. And I can't wait to see what that team does next. I kind of missed out on Astrobot Rescue. Is that what it was? The VR Astrobot game?
Yeah, Astrobot Rescue Mission? Is that what it was? It Mission?
Yeah, that's it.
I know it was good.
Yeah, and I have a PSVR sitting here, and I'm just about ready to buy that game and play it. I tried the demo once. It kind of got motion sickness though, so that's the only thing that's kind of holding me back. I think that's just a lack of time in VR. I need to, I just need to condition myself a little bit better with that. But yeah, Playroom is a fantastic way to show off like the controller, the system, all that stuff. It's wonderful. I'm glad that you really liked it. I know like an hour in, you're like, Kate, you have to play this. I'm making my son play this when he can. I knew at that moment, I'm like, Chris loves this, and it's great.
Yeah. I loaded it up later just because we had like 20 minutes before we had to put Jack to bed, and I was like, he might get a kick out of this. And I went back to like the opening where you get to play with, the controller functions to get into the game itself. And I had Kate do it. And Jack was like putting his hand on the controller while it was happening and just smiling as the controller was shaking and all that. And I was like, this is gaming, folks. Yeah. This is gaming. Yep. But yeah, great time with Astro.
The first time I booted it up, I had it on in my guest room /office /studio. And I just had it like the controller demo, and I just brought the controller out to my wife. I'm like, just press the triggers.
Yeah, do this for a second.
Just do that for like 20 seconds. And, it's a really fun way to show all of that stuff off. What else did you finish this week?
The other game I was able to finish was actually today. We finished it on stream after a very, very stressful final boss fight. We wrapped up Super Mario RPG.
God, what a good game.
What a good game indeed. Oh man, it was great getting back to that. And as I was finishing it up, I think I remembered some of the stuff. I hadn't really played it since it came out. And I was remembering some things, but every time I'd get to like past like a boss, I'd be like, I think this is as far as I got. And then something would remind me of, oh, no, I've seen this before. Until I got to the end where I don't remember any of Bowser's Castle. I don't remember the bosses in there. I don't think I ever actually beat the game until today. I think that's the first time I've seen.
Remember Smithy?
I remember. I don't remember Smithy's final form.
Yeah.
Spoilers for a game that's 25 years old. But yeah, it's. I don't think I ever finished it, and I think I know why, because some of that stuff got super hard.
Yeah, I mean, it is an RPG from 1996. 95, 96. Yeah,
it got into like just some of the stuff. Like, if somebody can beat that game without using Toadstool, I want to see it. I don't believe you, because I had to every round you had to heal with Toadstool in some of those boss fights. Otherwise, there's just no way.
Wouldn't you use Mallow as your secondary healer?
No, he just. I mean, the one heal he has is like not that good, and it's only for one character. Toadstool has like the heal that does everybody.
I've seen like the strong team for the end game is like Mario, Bowser, Toadstool.
Yeah, I actually had to take Bowser out. I took Bowser out and replaced him with Geno, because Bowser was
Geno's rad.
Yeah, but like he for some reason during the last little bit he just wasn't that useful. So I had to bring Geno in, and he was a lot faster, and I could get my attacks off quicker, and ended up making the difference during what was a marathon final boss fight. That thing took forever. Excellent. And I had to try it twice.
I'm sorry I missed it. I completely missed that part.
That's all right. We got through it. I threw my hands up in a fit of glee.
Yeah,
and it was good. So
just what an incredible RPG that's sculpted the future of Mario RPGs. From that point on, like every Mario RPG has to have some sort of like timing mechanic in it. It has to be jokey. Like there's a template there that was built with that game that was brought forward with like the Camelot titles.
I should do this. I should ask you what consoles you own and things like that. You know what? I've never had a chance to play a single other Super Mario RPG like.
Oh no. You haven't played Mario and Luigi?
Mario and Luigi I've never played. Bowser's Inside Story, the Paper Mario series I've never played. Well, I think one of those was on Nintendo 64. But yeah, there's so many games out there. Like I've been going through and like looking at what I want to play, and so many of them I just don't have access to. Like they're not on Switch. They're not. I'd never had some of the Nintendo consoles that these amazing games came out on, so I might have to.
I feel like
borrow all your stuff.
Are on Wii U.
I don't have a Wii U either.
I do. So yeah, we might be able to figure something out there. But like, I think the first couple Mario and Luigi's are on Wii U in the virtual, or not the virtual console, but the eShop.
Okay,
I'll find out. We'll figure that out. Otherwise, like it might be getting a GameCube and a Super Game Boy situation.
Okay.
But like
the one thing I don't want to do is I don't want to emulate. People have just told me just like emulate the game, and I'm like, I don't feel good about that.
Totally.
There's enough like weird rules around it that I'd rather just do it the right way if I can. So that's what I'm going to do. So the next time I have something that comes up on my list that I don't own, you and I are going to brainstorm on how I can make some of these things happen.
I mean, Paper Mario, I think, is also on just the Wii eShop.
Okay.
So do you have a Wii? Do you have a regular Wii?
Nope.
Okay. So should be available on Wii U. We'll figure it out. We'll talk later. But yes, you should play other Mario RPGs. Yeah. They're really good.
Absolutely.
There's a couple Paper Marios you should probably stay away from, but I really liked Origami King this year.
Okay. That's one that I wanna try.
It's kind of different because there isn't a traditional like leveling up structure. And it starts kind of slow, and it seems like it's going to be pretty repetitive as you go, but like the story starts to pick up and the characters are really good. And combat stuff can be a little bit of a chore, but there's a puzzle element to it that I really like. And it looks really nice. So you should try Origami King. I do have a physical copy of that as well if you'd like to borrow that.
Ooh.
Interesting. Yes.
So yeah, but it hasn't been all fun and games on the stream. I mean, it has been. I guess it has been.
It's
fun.
been. It has been. It's been
It hasn't all
games,
been
at least.
fun. It has been games. Yeah. Earlier this year, I beat Final Fantasy 13 and I beat Final Fantasy 13 2, and I had a perfectly fine time with both those games.
Yeah.
13, I think I'm an apologist for. I think it's actually a pretty good game.
Oh, I think it's great.
I think it follows the same kind of core structure as a Final Fantasy X in terms of its linearity, but
100%.
people for some reason hold 10 to a much higher standard. And I don't know why. But anyways, I played those two, and
different generations, different expectations.
I guess.
10 did it first, and then it was fine then. And then when 13 came out, they were expecting something very incredibly grand. The hype for 13 when that game was being previewed and everything was off the charts. So
yeah. So we beat that. It had been on my list, and I had one Mr. Bark Ruffalo. Good one of my mods on the Twitch on my Twitch channel, and super supportive, great dude. One of the nicest dudes in the history world. Redeemed points for me to finally play and conclude the Final Fantasy 13 trilogy. He is likely disappointed. I played it for about 4 hours, and boy, did they make some interesting decisions with that game. I decided I was just not going to play it. I could not get past the timing thing. I do not like to be rushed in RPGs, and that's all that game is. It's just, you only have this much time to do this. You have to hurry up and do this. You have to do this thing. The first quest was like this fetch quest. It wasn't even a fetch quest. It was go find these things in this big area. You have this much time. And I was like, this time matters. I can't enjoy this game knowing that there's this timer ticking over my head. I'm missing out on things. And eventually I was just like, I'm done. We're not, okay. This is not going to work for me. And the people that do enjoy Lightning Returns completely understood. They're like, we get it. Like, this is quite a departure. There are pieces there that I think could be really good if there wasn't that. The time constraint is one thing. The battle system seemed goofy. I thought I was getting my head around it, and then I wasn't. And
yeah, you liked it at first, but
I did. And then
the
second day, it was just like I was getting wrecked by things. And it was like, when you die, guess what? You lose an hour of your day in the game.
Oh, no.
And I kept dying to this one enemy, and I'm like, I'm going to rip my hair out. I can't do it. I just so yeah, that game wasn't for me. But in lieu of that, we started Dragon Age Origins on the stream. And because we beat Super Mario RPG, tomorrow we're starting a new game called 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim. So moving forward from Lightning Returns. That's all I've been playing. What have you been playing?
Man, not a whole lot. After you finished Astrobot, I went back and finished the last 2 levels in the final boss area of that. Just to put it away. Like I felt like that should have been something I finished back in November and was very distracted by other things. But I went and finished that. The other night I did my monthly stream. Hopefully there will be more than one stream this month. It is Johnuary after all. And I played some Magic, as I do. There's a new set coming out in 2 weeks or so that's looking very spicy. I'm really liking the way it looks. It's all Norse mythology based.
Ooh.
So they have all their variations of the Norse gods. So like Odin, Thor, Loki, who is a planeswalker that's been in other sets. And they're doing a lot of cool things in that set. Very excited for it. I'll probably be streaming that a bunch in the coming weeks. I also played the demo for East 9, Monstrum Nox, which comes out on February 11th on PS4. That game it's fun. It's more East 8, but with wall climbing mechanics and like teleport mechanics. There's like grapple points that you can zip to. I don't know all that it does, but it seems like there's a little bit more mobility with it. There's also, Chris, you played through Ys 8,
I
correct?
did, yes, on
Yeah.
stream.
So I got an item during the demo that allowed me to switch the type of damage that my character was doing. So I got like a piercing emblem. So I could change like one of my heavy or like balanced attack people to like piercing. So instead of just having characters be exactly what they are through the whole game, I can use every character.
Okay.
And like make them fit into my party how I want them to. Which is nice. That game though, at least the demo doesn't seem like it has any graphical improvements from the PS4 version, or like from what I would see as like the base PS4 version. It looked very pixelated. It looked very sub 1080p.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was odd. So I'm hoping the final release will be a little bit better than that. But yeah, Ys is looking fun. I'm looking forward to playing that. And then I went through the Monster Hunter Rise demo and was playing around with the new mechanic in there, which is the wire bugs, and that's another mobility mechanic. You have like wire bugs that you can zip line with, and each weapon that you're using has 2 special wire bug moves. So I'm typically a hammer player. Hammers don't have a ton of mobility, but with this, you have a move that can just launch you into the air, and then you start spinning end over end with your hammer, and slam into the monster with it. It's a lot of fun. Planning on playing actually more Monster Hunter World in the lead up to Monster Hunter Rise in March. So hopefully this week I'm going to start doing that, and I'd say look for that on my stream. That's really it. That's all I've been playing. I played a little bit of one of the games for today, and then a little bit of another one. I feel like that second one I got a better grasp of what that game is with that short amount of time that I played. But yeah, that's really about it with me and games this week.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, guys, let's I guess let's move into the games. I was going to say,
Sure.
if I was going to think if there's anything else. Our community section is quiet this week.
Yes.
Let's not move into the games. Let's talk about how you guys can support the channel or how you can participate. First off, if you guys have enjoyed the show, I urge you again to go ahead and leave a 5-star review on whether it's Apple Podcasts. I think I've been calling it iTunes every week. That's how old I am. I don't even know what things are called anymore. Apple Podcasts or Spotify or whatever you listen to it on. That goes a long ways. That's super helpful. If you want to be a part of the show, you can reach out to us at patreon.com/procedurally generated. That is our Patreon. If you feel like throwing us a couple bucks, we would appreciate it. We will do with your money what we can to make the show even better. We also have a Twitter, PG_show. We have an email, pgshowinbox@gmail.com. Feel free to email us any suggestions, any comments, anything you'd like. We have a Discord that'll be linked in the show notes below. And then, as John stated in the very beginning, we have a YouTube that is live, has our past episodes, has some bonus content in there. That is the best way to reach out and get a hold of us. You know, one thing I think we should probably do as well, if you guys are interested in following us, we have Twitters as well. We have never pushed our own Twitters, but I am CW719 on Twitter. John, you are?
I am John_Carson.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So,
and I will say for the YouTube stuff, since we are playing around with like obviously we're gonna have the podcast on there just to so people can listen to it that way. But for the actual gameplay stuff, let us know if you like it being a VOD of a stream with us talking, or if you just want just direct gameplay. I think both have value for people who want to know what a game is. But just let us know what you might want to see.
Yeah, that's a good point. We do. I mean, the stuff that's going up for Corpse Party is just kind of a bonus thing, like for launching the YouTube. It just happened to turn out that Corpse Party was being featured on my channel.
Yeah.
You know, we do have plans for video content in the future. We're not sure what that looks like yet, but those kind of suggestions will be hugely influential on what we decide to do with that stuff in the future. So,
Right.
yes, your opinions are super welcome. And now, what say we get into the games?
Yes.
Awesome.
Let's do it.
Awesome. This first game, some lucky community members that might have been in my Twitch stream got to get a got to get a little sneak peek of, not gameplay, but I spent the last hour of my stream on Friday actually showing my research process, like what I do to find the information for these specific games. And it went well. I thought it was fun. Community actually voted to see it. I wasn't just pushing my stuff on people.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I put a community I put a vote up in my Twitch channel, and it was like 9-0. They wanted to see the research, and I was like, "You guys are nerds." Excellent. But okay. But this is a game developed by Victor Interactive Software, published by Natsume. It is a simulation farming / dating game that's taken directly from one John Carson. It was released in 2017. However, it was originally released in 2001 on the PS2. We are talking about the PS4 version. Mm-hmm. This game is called Harvest Moon: Save the Homeland.
And I do have a quick addendum. Unfortunately, Harvest Moon: Save the Homeland is not a dating simulator like other ones.
And this is why we trust our own research, folks. This is why we don't rely on those closest to us, because they'll always let us down.
Well, like so looking into this more, doing my own research, this is one of the few games where marriage and like having a kid is not an option. Like there are dating elements, like you can get to know people in the village. You do play a male character. You can get to know women in the village, and there are things that'll happen like after the credits for like a romance sequence, but it's nothing that's like officially part of the game.
Okay. I guess I did read that. I just didn't know the effort that goes into, because you don't always get that scene. It comes as a result of something, right?
Of you doing a bunch of work and getting a certain ending.
Gotcha.
Yeah, there. So, Harvest Moon: Save the Homeland is the first Harvest Moon title for PlayStation 2. It is a pretty pared down Harvest Moon game. It's very straightforward. Everything that you're doing is to you are a 21-year-old guy named Toy. You can name him whatever you want, but
his hat says Toy.
So his hat says Toy. His character name is officially Toy. He was given a farm by his grandfather Tony, who had passed away. His dad kind of just gives you the option. He's like, "Hey, you should go check out this farm. Go gather your grandpa's belongings." Toy gets there, and he is welcomed by 3 harvest sprites named Nick, Knack, and Flack. And the harvest goddess, Nick, Knack, and Flack, are worried about the local village being torn down for an amusement park in the next year. And the harvest goddess tests you to see if you would be a good fit to save the village and keep that from happening. And once you do, you start living on the farm and start growing your crops and learning about the people in the village. You start meeting different villagers and buying animals and taking care of your cows and your chickens and your dog, and doing quests for people in town. That's the lay of the land for Save the Homeland. There are I want to say 9 different endings for this game.
Yeah, that is what I had found, 9 endings.
And they all have to do with this was always my issue with Harvest Moon. Is I go in and I want to do everything correctly. I want to do everything. but for each of these endings, you kind of have to focus on specific townspeople and figure out what they need and what their quest is. Like if it's a person who makes like clothing, you end up like helping her make like this goddess dress. Sorry, spoilers for this game that's also like 20 years old. Um but you help her create this like goddess dress, and that will bring jobs to the community because people want to know how to make this thing, and she has to like teach people how to make it. Or there's there's like a quest for finding these seeds that will be this like special fruit that will allow the town to not be bulldozed, because this is the place where the fruit comes from. So it's famous now, and it can't be destroyed. So there's like 9 different endings. You can keep on playing through each year. You kind of start over with your relationships with everyone. Like they don't know you each year. But you keep all of your farm stuff, which is odd.
Yeah, I read that and I was like, well,
I mean,
I guess it's a game. It's a video game, but
it's a video game, and it's one of those things. If you want to see all the endings, like you did beat the game, but if you want to see all the endings, it takes out the grind of like the early game of getting money and like building up your farm and all of that.
So one question that I had, the description on the box said the goal is to successfully save your family's farm and the surrounding village from being turned into a resort.
Yes.
Now in fandom, I read something that
like
threw me off.
You save the town by turning it into a resort?
Yeah,
is that what you saw?
The game revolves around trying to establish the area as a resort to head off the construction of a theme park. And I was like, what are we trying to accomplish here?
So in the game, they just mentioned the theme park in like in the opening part with the harvest sprites. I
wonder if that was just like a phrasing thing where they're just like, you want to make this place, a beautiful place to live.
I think it also depends on the ending, because like one is we're going to build up this like industrial complex because of this dress that's being made. Or like this town is just going to be big because it's known for this specific thing.
Okay.
And it can't be bulldozed. Like, I don't know. I don't think every ending is going to be like this town is a resort specifically.
Okay.
But those were just the 2 that I was willing to kind of spoil myself on, and willing to spoil all of you listeners on. But how you get there, though, I'm not going to tell you.
It's the journey.
It is the journey. It's meeting people. It's building those relationships, and gifting things to people, finding out about likes and dislikes. Yeah. I mean, as for like gameplay on your farm, there's not a lot that goes on there. Like you have animals, you have your dog, your horse, your cow, your chickens. And I guess this game takes a little bit of a heavier tone if you lose one of those, if like a cow dies or a chicken dies.
Yeah, they made special point to say like, if you lose an animal, like you're forced to stop work for that day, and you have to like mourn and reflect like on the animal's death. Like it was super consequential.
Yes. Yep. But if you don't have like typical relationship stuff going on, I could see where they would need to find some sort of an emotional point of interest.
Yeah.
And you are a farmer. You're a young farmer. That stuff would be emotional. Like this is your first farm. Like those losses are probably going to weigh heavy on you.
Yeah.
I think that makes a lot of sense. I guess moving on from gameplay stuff, do you have much else for gameplay?
Not gameplay wise. I was going to get into kind of the specifics of the release and things like
that.
Yeah.
Go for it. If you want to.
Yeah, I mean, John. So like like I said in the beginning, we got the PS4 version. So
Mm-hmm.
all that is, it's the re-release on PS4 of the PS2 version.
Yep, with
So
trophies.
it's with trophies. Yes, they did
With
add
trophies.
trophy support. So as he said, this was the first Harvest Moon title to appear on PS2. This was also the first Harvest Moon title to not be released in PAL territories. So the year 2001, when this game originally released, the PAL territories had to wait until the PS4 port 16 years later to play this game. Which I couldn't find the reason why that happened, but if you were a big Harvest Moon fan, you had to wait 16
wonder
years
if
for this
there's. I mean, I wonder if there's just localization issues with a smaller publisher and
game. Yeah,
wanted to keep it just English, but like then you would usually just see it in Europe at least, but or
Well,
not
I
Europe,
guess
in like the UK, but
I mean, I guess
there could be additional localization considerations.
yeah, it was. I mean, Natsume is a publisher that I'm pretty familiar with, at least the name.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I couldn't pull a whole bunch of Natsume games out of a hat. So, would you consider them a small publisher, or would they be a pretty good sized publisher for the day? Or maybe they
At
were
the time,
dwindling at that point.
At the time, I would say they're probably medium sized, but still like they're. I mean, publishing things in multiple territories in like the PlayStation 2 time is not the easiest thing to do.
Yeah.
I can't really speak to it that well.
Yeah, I'm wondering. Okay, I mean, Natsume is still doing their thing today. They're still very much around, but I mean, the history. Okay, established in '88. Okay, maybe I'm mistaken then. I guess Natsume. When I think Natsume, I think a lot of NES games, but maybe that's just me.
I think of Super Nintendo or.
Do you? Okay.
I really think of
Lufia.
like Harvest Moon when I think of Natsume.
Yeah, and that's. I mean, that's fair. Turns out that's
yeah,
the biggest titles I think you see on.
I mean, they've done a lot of licensed games. And I think that's also where I would know them from.
Yeah, I mean the main franchises that I recognize, I guess, are Harvest Moon and
Lufia.
Yeah, which Lufia gets slept on a lot. That game deserves more credit.
Of course.
Spanky's Quest, Pocky and Rocky. Oh gosh. Bust a Move 3. That's a big one.
Real Fishing.
Yep. Real Fishing, yes. Okay, well, yeah, I guess that's anyways, I mean, the PAL territories had to wait a very long time before they could play this game, unless they imported it, which I suppose it wouldn't be a terrible thing to do.
It depends. They have different kinds of TVs, so games would run different on them.
Oh,
and that's why you'd have a PAL version.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Okay. US CRTs would run at 60 hertz, and I believe PAL stuff is running at 50 hertz, which is something that's been a slight issue with like the PlayStation Classic or the PlayStation Mini, whatever that re-release console was that Sony brought up last in like 2019. Some of those games are running in the PAL version, so like Tekken's running in 50 hertz instead of 60.
Oh.
But you could also go into like you can get into the code in it somehow. I don't know if it's just like not a command line. What am I thinking of for PC games? They'll have some sort of command prompt. What like it'll bring down a console and you can like type stuff in.
The command prompt sounds right to me. I don't know.
Yeah. They have something like that in there where you can actually change it between like 60 and 50 hertz for some games, which is odd that like they didn't just have that automatically switch for the US or for everyone, because playing a fighting game that was designed at 60 frames per second at 50 is real janky. Anyways, that's my little rant on PAL stuff.
Perfect. And I guess while it wasn't clear as to why, you know, the PS2 version was never released in the PAL territories,
Mm-hmm.
it does make sense as to why the PS4 port arrived in 2017 because that was actually the 20th anniversary of the Harvest Moon franchise.
Oh wow!
So there was a press release from May 16th that called out 2017 as the 20th anniversary. So that could have had something to do with it, or it could have been completely coincidental. But important to note, this is a franchise that's been around a long time.
Oh yeah, very storied.
Now, when I was doing my research, you were in my chat and you told me to write down Story of Seasons.
Yes.
I did. You didn't give me any context. It's written down.
No, okay. Oh, you didn't actually look into Story of Seasons?
I mean, I know a little bit about it, but I didn't know where you were going to go with it.
So So Story. Just to quickly talk about the legacy of Harvest Moon. Harvest Moon is no longer named Harvest Moon. I believe Natsume holds the naming convention for Harvest Moon, but the actual succession of the series has gone into the series Story of Seasons, which is now being developed by Marvelous, who was formerly Victor Interactive Software. So they even in the last year or so, they released Story of Seasons Friends of Mineral Town, which is a remake of Harvest Moon Friends of Mineral Town for PS1, I believe. Or no, sorry, that was PS2. That's the game that came after Save the Homeland. So if you are looking for a modern Harvest Moon that is a actual Harvest Moon game, you are looking for Story of Seasons. There have been a couple other Story of Season games in the last few years. There was Doraemon Story of Seasons, which was taking a popular Japanese character Doraemon and putting Story of Seasons mechanics into that world. And I believe just Story of Seasons itself as a vanilla name is a game.
So do we? Okay, you're gonna have to help. You're gonna have to take me by the hand, walk me through this. So, because to add even further complexity then to this, Harvest Moon does still exist.
It does. Yep. So Natsume is still releasing games named Harvest Moon.
There's one due this year. Harvest Moon One World.
Yeah. And from what I've heard, they are not the best, or at least not what traditional Harvest Moon is. And they're getting closer and closer to something that people who like classic Harvest Moon games would like. But it hasn't quite hit that sweet spot yet. So yeah,
I guess I found it on Wikipedia, so this probably best sums it up. The resulting spin-off series, at least since Harvest Moon, the Lost... Okay, hold on, let me read the whole thing. In 2007, Natsume has taken the opportunity to develop their own video game series using the name Harvest Moon in North America and Europe. And in 2014, it released Harvest Moon: The Lost Valley, the first farm simulator game in the new series.
Yes.
The resulting spin-off series, at least since Harvest Moon: The Lost Valley, has caused some degree of confusion among fans and video game news sources due to the game not actually being part of the same series as the games titled Harvest Moon before it.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. There you have it.
There you have it. It's there is Harvest Moon. It is published by Natsume. It is not the same line of games as Story of Seasons, which is the original.
This Harvest Moon belongs to Story of Seasons, the one that we covered today.
Yes.
This Harvest Moon does not belong to the Harvest Moon from 2007 and on. Okay.
Correct.
There we go.
Yep. That's it.
Clear as mud. Who does this?
So, I mean, IP rights are a pain. I'm sure your wife knows about this.
She does.
She works with IP law. So, yeah.
So,
I just wanted to bring that up. I'm sure we'll, knowing how many Harvest Moons and Story of Seasons and all of that there are, those will probably pop up on the list again someday. I just wanted to clarify for people who are looking for a modern Harvest Moon to look at Story of Seasons to be that.
Yes, consider that a primer to avoid future confusion.
Or play current cryophilic, just a popular cryophilic game right now, Stardew Valley.
Yeah, there you go.
It's going to be your other Harvest Moon contender.
I remember
if you're farming and dating and saving a town from a corporation of some sort.
I remember a couple years ago, actually the year we met, actually the place we met, weirdly enough,
Oh, GlitchCon.
at GlitchCon.
2016?
2016? That sounds right.
I don't know.
I had actually joined some of the Game Informer crew for lunch, and Reiner
was that
there.
at B-Dubs?
At B-Dubs, yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I popped in there like right at the end.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And we were actually talking Stardew Valley Harvest Moon. And it's at this point Stardew Valley is still stupidly huge.
It is.
But at this point, Stardew was like, a showstopper. And we were talking about the popularity of Stardew Valley versus Harvest Moon, and I had brought up the probably stupid point at the time, and still might be stupid. I haven't really thought critically about this now, but since we're talking about Harvest Moon and Stardew Valley at the same time,
I'll make
jogged
my
memory. I had argued that with the access, the ability to access Stardew Valley in so many different ways, which at the time actually wasn't that many compared to now.
It was
you can
just
get that
PC
thing
at the time.
Yeah, you can get it anywhere now. But
yeah,
with video games being as big as they were, I had made the argument that Stardew Valley, with the word of mouth, with the push that it had behind it, that Stardew Valley could and maybe even at the time, now that I'm saying all this a lot, I think I was an idiot, could without having numbers, Stardew Valley, I felt, had potentially outsold the Harvest Moon franchise because of the accessibility that Stardew Valley had.
Yeah.
Now, at the time, maybe not a sound argument. Now,
I don't know.
I don't think we'll ever find out. But it's a single game that is. I don't know. I don't know what point I was even trying to make when I was talking to Reiner about it, but he was like, "No, that's impossible," and that's probably why I was never hired a Game Informer.
I gotta know what my reasoning is. January 23rd, 2020, Stardew Valley has sold 10 million copies. Let me see what Harvest Moon is. Also, that is more than Splatoon 2, Final Fantasy X, Final Fantasy 15, Final Fantasy 8, Final Fantasy 13. 8 sold more than 13. That's very interesting.
That is interesting. Are you on VG charts? Where are you finding this?
No, I just Googled. That's from Tweaktown. But that seems like a press release that had gone out.
Okay.
Concerned Ape. The developers themselves had.
Okay. Yep, they could be trusted, probably.
Yes. Let's see here. Harvest Moon franchise sales figures. I know this is very, very intriguing.
Ultra scientific.
Podcasting that's happening here.
Yes, Matt Piscatella would be is turning over in his grave. He's also not dead.
Listen, that's just his home. Oh no. These are just first week sales. I mean, you'd also have to incorporate Rune Factory into that, I think, since Rune Factory is a Harvest Moon series.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
I didn't know that,
Chris.
No.
So
I'm sorry.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something after that.
Nope.
Besides you're sorry.
Apologizing.
So Rune Factory, if you want a little bit more, a little bit of sci-fi, a little bit of RPG in your Harvest Moon, Rune Factory is the place to go for that.
Those are also still being turned out.
Yeah, they are. But also that being a separate thing, I'm not as worried with people going with a Rune Factory than they are a Harvest Moon named game. I am not finding any good sales figures. So I mean, you could be.
I think I'm right. I think the point, the moral of the story is Reiner, if you're listening, I told you.
Andrew Reiner, one, we love you.
Yes.
Hi. We need to catch up sometime. And Chris was right, I guess.
Yep.
Chris was #Chris was right.
That's right.
Yes.
And you can't prove me otherwise. We've scoured the entire internet in the last 3 minutes. I think.
I have Googled. Google has spoken.
So there you go.
Yeah. That's Harvest Moon. Save the Homeland. I think probably a good farming sim. I need to play more of it. I kind of want to play around with the just gameplay side of YouTube for this one. I don't know if my commentary on it would help anything. But so people could see like what some of the day-to-day things are that you do in the game. Anyways, I would say we should probably move on to our second game of the week.
Well, before I do that, I just wanted to make one quick note. As we said, this is developed by Victor Interactive. You had mentioned Marvelous,
yes,
which acquired Victor Interactive. But I thought it was cool because we can make a connection.
Finally.
Formerly, Victor Interactive was formerly known as Pack-In Video.
No, Marvelous was formerly Pack-In Video. Or
no, Marvelous bought Victor Interactive. Victor Interactive became Victor Interactive from Pack-In Video. Unless I have that wrong. Either way, Pack-In Video is being mentioned again.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah, so Pack-In Video
it was
Pack-In Video from 1970 to 1996. The reason Pack-In Video is worth calling out because they published or developed Predator for the NES, which we covered a couple episodes ago.
Once again, another piece of evidence that Chris is right.
I can't.
Hashtag
I can do no wrong.
Chris is right. Let's not do a hashtag John was wrong. That doesn't seem. No, that doesn't seem like a great way to celebrate Johnuary.
It's got a certain goodness to it. I don't know. If you want to play this game, it's $32 on Amazon. I actually found it for $13 on eBay. If you want a physical copy, it is also $14.99 on PSN. And John said, now again, he's steered me wrong once already on this game, but John said that he saw it on PlayStation Now. If you have PlayStation Now, you might be able to play this game.
I did go to the PlayStation Now website. It is in the list of games.
Perfect. PlayStation Now. So if you already have PlayStation Now, you can boot up some Harvest Moon, Save the Homeland. Oh, also critical reception. Currently 76 on Metacritic with an 8.7 user score. Well liked by users. Now we can move on to the second. No, we can't. We have to take a break.
Oh yeah, we do breaks now.
Yeah, we do breaks.
Jeez, I'm still used to the 5-game format.
Yeah, well, it would have been weird when we got done with the third game and been like, well, let's take a break before we rank.
Yeah, let's take a break for a week.
Yeah, we'll come back later.
Yeah, see ya.
All right, cool guys. We'll see you guys in just a couple minutes or hours. You don't know. All right, everybody. Welcome back to part 2 of Procedurally Generated. We got a couple games left. Yeah. Boy, if you guys could have just been a part of what just happened.
Don't worry about it. John's just skipping games, apparently.
Yeah, and he went with game 3. I was stuck on game 2, and I thought all my research was wrong, and then I knew it wasn't because I know what the game is. Anyways, it was a beautiful disaster. So we decided to run it back and do it one more time.
Do you want me to just throw another curveball on this one then?
Yeah, what do you got? Let me see if I'm ready for it.
All right. So game 2 was released in about 1989.
Okay.
Right. For the HP UX X11. This is Columns. This is Columns. We pulled the Game Gear version of Columns. Of course, Columns is a puzzle game from the Sega Genesis, and I believe obviously the Master System, but also the what was the predecessor again? The
Master System.
The Mega Drive. Sorry, the
Mega
Master
Drive,
System
yes.
was the predecessor. This did come out on the Master System, the Mega Drive, the Sega CD, the Game Gear, the PC Engine, the FM Towns, NEC PC 8801, NEC PC 9801. I could keep going. There's a lot.
You could. There were a lot.
Sharp X 68,000. MSX2, Super Famicom, Game Boy Color, Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, Virtual Console, iOS, Palm OS, ZX Spectrum. It's a puzzle game. It came out everywhere.
This game has gone places.
Yeah. So yeah, Columns originally released mainstream in the arcade in 1989. This version, the Game Gear version.
Hold on.
What?
Of all of the platforms you listed off, I think you missed the one that we drew.
No, I said Game Gear.
Did you say Game Gear? Oh, okay. I thought I missed it. You threw it a lot. That's my mistake.
That was with all the Sega stuff. Yeah,
that would have been hilarious, though.
That actually would have been.
Listen off like 35 consoles. And
all right, so I did skip arcade originally, and I did skip the Atari ST. So
did you say TurboGrafx 16? We gotta. I don't know if you did.
I don't think I did. Okay. That's not on this list.
Oh, SNES as well.
I said the Super Famicom.
Okay, yep, that counts. Boy, I've just made a mess of your intro. I am sorry. Go ahead.
Anyways, let's cut all this and start over again. No, so Columns is a gem-based puzzle game where you need to match 3 of the same color of gem to make them go away, to make them disappear. What's cool about this game is those gems come down in groups of 3. They could be any of, I think, 6 colors.
That sounds right. Yep.
And they come down in a vertical column, thus columns. You can flip those colors in any organization that they would, any configuration that they would come in as it's falling. And they want you to get it three colors in a row, in vertical, horizontal, or diagonal. So like tic-tac-toe, which is, I think, I don't remember that being a thing when I played Columns way back in the day. This is a game that I definitely played when I was a child, but like didn't really retain much besides like, oh, this looks like a Puyo Puyo or a Mean Bean Machine or a Puzzle Fighter type game. When I don't think it is and it isn't. Having played it for research for this episode, I think having that tic-tac-toe element is it definitely changes the gameplay quite a bit of what kind of combinations you're looking for and where you're dropping these gems. Chris, you played some of this, correct?
I did, and I don't know if you guys just heard that, but that was the sound of something hitting the floor upstairs very hard that I see it did register. So no big deal. I hear no crying. I hear no screams. We're all fine. Yeah. It made me jump. Yeah, I did. I got a chance to play it. I never spent a lot of time with Columns. I always considered it kind of it was a Tetris-like, and again, Tetris is fine.
You're not a big block puzzler.
I'm not. And I hear a lot of people. Okay, I know. We're not going to go down. We're not going to go down that rabbit hole. Anywho, I did fire it up. Yeah. And it was fun. It was a good time. I don't know. Did you? So I played the Sega Genesis version. Obviously, I didn't bust out a Game Gear and play this game.
Yeah.
Did you notice a substantial increase in difficulty when you went from the first level to the second level?
Yes.
Oh boy, that game got hard real quick.
It does. It really does. And that's something that the original creator. We should go through the history of this game a little bit. This game was designed by a man named Jay Geertsen. There we go. Who was a engineer for Hewlett Packard. Mm-hmm. This was created not because he wanted to make a game, but because he wanted to learn how to use the UX11 software. I believe that's just part of whatever operating system HP was working on at the time.
Yeah.
So he made this game in a way to teach himself how to use that software. He thought it was fun, so he put it up on HP's internal servers so other people could play it. a couple of people on the team decided that one wanted to port it to Mac, one wanted to port it to PC or to DOS. They did that, and eventually, an attorney contacted him about making this game public. He had heard about it. He obviously, like, arcade puzzle games were starting to be a big thing around that time, and he wanted to buy the rights to it. Geertsen went to his higher ups at HP, since it was made kind of on company time and was stored within the company itself. And HP allowed this attorney to have non-exclusive rights to it, which then that attorney had worked with Sega to make the columns that we know today. Jay decided to he hadn't really heard of Tetris, or he had heard of it, but making this game wasn't influenced at all by what he knew about Tetris. He just wanted to make a game that he felt was fun, and wanted to he wanted a game that everyone could play close to forever if their skill level was appropriate for it. One thing he didn't like about Tetris was, as you go on, as time passes, blocks fall faster and faster, which you were kind of talking about, Chris. I'm kind of getting back to my point.
Yeah.
He wanted it so the complexity in the game was in the way that you were ordering your colored tiles, and if you were a good enough player, you could just keep on playing. The fall speed wouldn't increase. There wouldn't be like a time mechanic. You could just keep going. Obviously, that stuff was implemented with full public versions of columns, with like the Sega Genesis version, probably the arcade version as well. But that was something that Jay did not have a hand in, nor did Jay really have a hand in any versions of columns following his version, his original version that was just colored tiles. He didn't have gems. He didn't have any like special symbols. It was just a grid and different colored tiles for you to recognize what the pieces were supposed to be. Yeah, that's just kind of like the basic origins of columns as a game. Chris, what did you find on this?
Yeah, I mean, when I played it, and I mean, things started to get, when things started to speed up, like literally level 0 to level 1, I was like, oh my God. Like it was panic. It's, Tetris is like, you can find the gaps. It doesn't matter the colors. Once you start adding that extra element of okay, colors. Okay, I gotta rotate and
yeah.
Oh God, like there's it frazzled me a lot more than Tetris.
Yeah.
But it was fun.
Yeah. What I do like about this is, until, at least on the Genesis version, at least until level 3, it gives you hints of where to put stuff.
It does, yeah.
It'll show you, like, it'll have flashing borders around gems where your column that's falling will be able to break those gems. It doesn't tell you if you're in the right configuration for it, if the gems are falling in the right way. But it does tell you that these are places where you can put these.
Yeah. So. But yeah, no, I mean, it was, the columns was more appealing to me, just playing this little bit of it because of that extra element. Whereas, I don't know, to me, Tetris gets boring after the first 20 lines,
Sure.
And this may be sacrilege, but Kate actually fired up a couple nights ago. She fired up Tetris Effect for the first time, and it was. Is it? Why is it? It's Tetris.
I like it. I think a lot of Tetris Effect is what people like about games like Rez. It's the whole visual and audio experience.
Okay, all right.
You are playing Tetris at the same time, whether you like Tetris or not. But like everything that it's doing with sound and gameplay and the visuals and all of that working together, it's that whole thing that the guy who made Rez, I can't remember his name right now. Is it Mizuguchi?
He likes you were saying Rez. I was thinking Fez.
Oh no, not
very different guy.
No, so Rez is very much about the music and the visuals and a feeling, or not a feeling, but like what they call synesthesia, which is a combination of all those things to make you feel something greater. That's what they were trying to make with Tetris Effect. So
okay. It's
not just like, I guess it is a good version of Tetris as well.
Well, and I guess that's the thing. Like it's like you mentioned Rez, which I know was a well-received game when it launched. It got even more love, I think, when it went to VR. And then Tetris Effect originally launched as a VR title. So you're getting yourself immersed in that. Maybe I can understand that. But when Kate was playing it, I was just like, this is Tetris with some bells and whistles. The fact is, I would rather play Columns over Tetris any day. And that I realized that when playing Columns. No, I don't want to play Columns that much either.
And me playing Columns, like I do like Tetris. I could play Tetris for a while. But it's not like my favorite game. It's not my favorite puzzle game either. But playing Columns, I liked it a lot more than I did when I played it when I was a kid. I think the way that my brain works now is in a much better place for a game like Columns.
True, yeah.
I like the strategy of lining up certain plays on the board. Like breaking these gems will make these gems fall on top of each other. I mean, it's like any other game like this, like a Puyo Puyo or a puzzle fighter. It's working with the same brain space, I guess. With slightly different mechanics. But I can't think of anything like around this time that was doing that exact same format of gem puzzle thing besides like a Puyo Puyo.
See, I can't think of anything either, and it got me thinking then. This Puyo Puyo, would that have been out earlier than Columns? I don't know how far back Puyo Puyo goes. I don't know much about that.
It's around
series.
that time. So like the earliest I remember Puyo Puyo is Mean Bean Machine.
Okay.
At least for the US. That is Puyo Puyo, but they put a Sonic the Hedgehog skin on it.
And it's essentially a match 3 with falling blocks, right?
Yeah.
So between this and Columns, are these kind of the pioneers? This is maybe a strange way to look at it, but I couldn't help it. Are these the pioneers to what is, I mean, maybe arguably, maybe not arguably, basically the biggest kind of game in the world when it comes to like the Candy Crush, those damn Facebook Facebook games that you get invites to from friends you haven't talked to in 30 years.
Absolutely.
So I mean,
this is the proto version of those. Puyo Puyo, by the way, was 1991. So it was after this.
Okay, so I mean, this is potentially the granddaddy to all of the games that you've seen on Facebook, and that Ryan Reynolds has pushed.
If there are other ones, let us know. Like obviously we haven't researched that portion of it that deep, because we're just working on Columns itself.
Yeah.
But we can't think of anything previous to that would that we could draw a line between.
Yeah. And one of the reasons I bring that up is this is actually it's a lot of people. I don't think there's a lot of people that have never heard of Columns. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's a game that I've always been aware of in some aspect. But this is the third game we've featured on this podcast that is part of a book called 1001 Games to Play Before You Die.
Oh, this wasn't ugliest characters in a game.
No, it was
okay, great, excellent.
It was runner up. Honorable
Weird.
mention.
Weird. This is full of just like angelic beings and
yeah. That was one thing that was, I thought, a little strange about just the aesthetic of the game overall. I was trying to find where that came from, and I couldn't find anything. But
it was actually like it wasn't something that was in Jay's original game. He said like anything that had to do with like Polynesian, like the lore of like these Polynesian gods or whatever was purely Sega's doing.
Yeah,
so.
And they didn't stick with it long because like they had very different themes, because this game actually did spawn sequels. Columns 2, The Voyage Through
3.
Time in 1990, and Columns 3, Revenge of the Columns in 1993.
Which has just like a nerdy dude sitting on a block of columns.
Is that a Revenge of the Nerds reference?
I think so.
Oh God,
I'm pretty sure it is.
It was simple like age it used to be.
It's 92.
Nah, yeah.
I just want to point. Yeah. I just want to point out quickly, if people hear some faint music from my side of things, my neighbor's been playing. I don't know if he's practicing something with an instrument or if he's playing Rock Band. But like yesterday, for like 30 minutes, that Bang Bang song from Kill Bill was playing like 30 minutes straight, and it's going right now. So
perfect. He's practicing your patience. Is what he's doing.
Yeah, he's testing my the gain on my mic. And
yeah, I can faintly hear it.
Yeah. So if anybody listening to this hears that, I share a wall with someone who likes to play their music loud.
Yeah.
Anyways, but yeah, that is a Revenge of the Nerds reference. I think. But I would say specifically with the Game Gear version, the version that we pulled, there's a little bit of trivia with that. Columns for Game Gear was the first pack-in game for the Game Gear.
Yes.
Which is a neat little thing. Also, I think it's the only version of Columns, of the original Columns, that lets you switch the icons of the gems.
Yeah.
It lets you switch it to fruit, or I think just like colored blocks. Is that correct?
Yeah, the designs that I saw were you can change it to dice, card shapes like diamonds, hearts, spades, and fruit.
That's right.
So yeah,
very interesting. Otherwise, it's Columns. Like it's not a hard game to translate. They did have to change some of the music because the Game Gear doesn't have the same sound chip that the Genesis did. Few things do. So they rearranged the soundtrack and had to change some of that stuff. But
yeah, without having played the Game Gear version, the biggest thing that I heard is that the music comes through is more flute-like.
That sounds right.
I also heard there was a slightly different, like a slight change that was made to the aesthetic, making it a little bit more realistic as opposed to cartoony.
Sure.
But I guess I couldn't really tell from the screenshots. That's just, I saw that in multiple places, so it must be true in some capacity.
Sure. I wonder if that's just for readability. Because I mean, on the Genesis, screen. You're working with a TV and you're working with big sprites, so you can tell what everything is. But yeah,
right.
I could see the Game Gear needing a little bit more help there.
Yeah. The only other thing that I have, which I thought is fun, the Guinness Book of World Records actually has a record for the highest score ever recorded on the Mega Drive / Genesis version of Columns. And that score is 99,999,989.
Oh no.
Yeah, well, it was submitted by Keith Danforth on June 11th, 2006. Turns out the counter freezes at 999999989.
Oh, okay.
So he was actually
that is the highest you can go.
Yeah, he earned the honor of being the first person ever to earn a perfect score in the game, which there was a comment below this on that page where it was like, she's like, some woman was just like, yeah, I did this in like, this was again 2006. She's like, yeah, I did this in like 1998, and I was just like, oh, well, I guess that's as high as it goes.
Well, she doesn't have proof.
She doesn't have proof. She's like, so I guess I'm like the unofficial record holder. And then the next comment was like, yeah, same thing. Like, so apparently this was a common thing. People were just hitting 99,999,989 points, but nobody just thought to submit a record for it.
Right. Yeah. I'm sure until like the King of Kong or any of the like Steve Wiebe documentaries came out. People weren't into like competitive arcade gaming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, the game, we mentioned who, initially created the game, Jay Geertsen. The Game Gear version was published and developed by Sega.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, Sega's done a bajillion things, so we don't need to go too much into development credits. They've done 1,900 games they have credited for on Moby. So
yeah, let's talk about the
we're going to go through every
Sega.
one.
We're going to talk about what happened with the Dreamcast.
Yeah,
you don't
have a Dreamcast, do you?
No, I wish I still had.
I wish I still had mine too.
I really in the last like 2 years, I would see one for like $40 or $80,
really,
or whatever. I'm like, I should get one, but then I don't have a way to play it. But now I do, kind of, and yeah, I kind of want to get one and mod it with a HDMI port, and games would be pretty easy to play on it.
Yeah,
for various Dreamcasty reasons.
But for columns, I did see. I actually bought this game.
I did too.
It's on Steam for 99 cents.
I apparently had it already.
Oh, did you? And you bought it?
Yeah. No, I went to go buy it, and it's like it's in your library, dude. I'm like, oh, okay, great,
nice. I did buy the Sega Mega Drive Genesis Classics bundle because it's
yes,
$30.34, which was 63% off for 58 games, and like the best games on Sega. The Shining Force series is on there. Phantasy Star 2, 3, and 4. Golden Axe. The games that define Sega are all in there. So I don't know if that was a sale or if it was just that's the price going forward.
Yes and no. I think a lot of those games are just like 99 cents to begin with, and I think the bundle is just going to be cheaper.
Yeah,
in some way. It's a great deal if you ever want to.
Absolutely.
If you ever want to try a Sega Genesis game, Vector Man's on there. Like you said, the Phantasy Stars, except for one.
Fantasy Star 1 is not on there.
It's not on there. That's weird.
Yeah. But you can get that one on Nintendo Switch if you really want to play Phantasy Star.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that's a great place to get all that stuff and play Columns. It's
Columns is on there. Yeah, obviously.
That's something we should clarify. Yes, Columns is on there.
Oh, you know what? I didn't even play Columns on my computer. I played it on the. I have a Xbox upstairs that has Columns on it, and I played it on the computer.
Wow.
Well, now I'm gonna have to. Anywho, that's Columns.
Hey,
do you have anything else?
No, I just want to say I don't think Sega's really done anything with Columns in recent years. It looks like the game was ported to iOS in some form recently, and it was on the Sega Genesis Mini. But otherwise, it's weird that they haven't done more with it.
Yeah,
or like smushed it into Puyo Puyo Tetris in some way. Puyo Puyo Tetris Columns. I think that would have been the sequel.
Because it's not like you see the match 3 games; they all have their own little thing. But I haven't seen the rotating
vertical
gems or vertical lines, whatever. I haven't seen that since Columns, so I don't know.
Or maybe Medios. I don't know.
Okay, that's a game I don't know anything about. So maybe that.
Oh, you don't know Medios? Okay, yeah. You should play Medios, by the way.
Oh my god, you're killing me with all of the games I have to play.
Chris, it's the job.
You're not wrong.
It's the life. It's the lifestyle. I think Medios is on like 360. I think they have a version on consoles that you can play. Anyways, yeah, that's Columns.
All right.
I don't really have anything else for Columns, like Sega apparently.
Well, let's move on to game 3.
Game 3, which I thought was Game 2.
Yes, which you really threw me for a loop. Still recovering over here.
Yeah.
Game 3 is developed by Capcom, published by Capcom. I'm going to call this an adventure puzzle game. I think that's fair.
I would call it a visual novel.
I would call it, maybe adventure, puzzle, visual novel, subgenres or something. Released in 2006, this version. The original version released in 2002 on the Game Boy Advance. We are talking about Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, Justice for All. I mentioned the Game Boy Advance 2002. This version is the Nintendo DS. It's also released on the Nintendo 3DS, Nintendo Switch, Wii, Wii U, Windows, PS4, and Xbox One. The newer consoles are bundled versions. The Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney trilogy.
Yes. You say iOS, Android?
I didn't.
Yes,
those should be included also, as well.
Yes, and they are actually pretty good versions. I think that's where I actually played the original. I guess I'm saying original. That's right. That's where I first played Ace Attorney. Was actually on iOS. It's on a phone. Just, I mean, as a visual novel, it's an easy way to play it anywhere.
Right.
It's not hard to keep up with what's going on. Anyways, Justice for All is the second game in the Phoenix Wright series. Like you mentioned, it was originally a Game Boy Advance game. It was ported to the Nintendo DS. We didn't see it here in the US until it came out on the DS, which was interesting. Also, with same with the first game. So that's why there's such a huge gap in it releasing between the GBA and the DS. Was everything was being worked on international localizations for these games. Chris, what do you have with Ace Attorney?
Yeah, so
Justice for All.
This is one of those. This is a game that, like, I think, given the number of games that we've done on the show, this one is one that, even after doing my research, this is maybe sounds bad, but it's maybe just because I didn't get a chance to play it beforehand. Research doesn't do it justice. Seeing it doesn't do it justice. Having to play the game, I think, is what's going to dictate what you think about it. So, I don't feel like I know much about this game other than what I've kind of researched. So this is the description of the game. Justice for All is a courtroom simulation and adventure game. Players gather evidence and interrogate witnesses as they try to help Phoenix Wright prove his client's innocence. New to the sequel is the addition of psych locks, which cover a person when they are hiding in a particularly dark secret. You will need to break open these locks by presenting enough evidence to convince the person to tell the truth. So it sounds interesting. It's a visual novel, but there are gameplay aesthetics that exist outside of that. And I coincidentally tried a game recently, and I don't know if you know this game. Oh shoot, I got to write it down. I tell you what, to take a couple seconds to talk about what you were going to. Let me find this game that I have in mind here.
I was going to ask you if you had played an Ace Attorney before.
I never have. No.
Okay. And also I was also going to say, as a preface to what I've researched for this game, I stayed pretty dark on the story contents because this is a game that I have not played, and it is a game that I do want to play. I've played quite a bit of the first game. These games play out in a series of courtroom cases. There's usually about 4 per game, 4 or 5. And these are built in a way where after the first game, the some of the higher ups, was it the higher ups? Let me see here. Yeah. So the writer and director, Shu Takumi's boss, Shinji Mikami, told Shu that they should make a trilogy, where everything wraps up story-wise with the trilogy in the final case of the last game. So while this is the second game in a series, this is almost like the middle part of a full game.
Yeah.
Like the middle chapter of a full like series of courtroom cases.
Have you ever played or tried the game AI, the Somnium Files?
No,
You haven't. Okay. Because I played that recently, and I think having played that and then seeing my research, I thought maybe they were kind of interchangeable, not interchangeable, but at least similar gameplay mechanics. But
yeah,
I might be wrong. Now, no, again, I know you had said you didn't really want to be spoiled on it or anything like that, but I did want to
yeah.
share what the first episode kind of
Oh no, that's
includes.
fine. And like the first ones are always like introductions to like the grander story, or like introductions to how to do the courtroom thing. So go ahead.
Yeah, so like John said, this is the second game in the Ace Attorney series. This is set about a year after the first game.
Yeah.
So this game is made up of episodes. The first episode, and I'm just going to kind of give the synopsis as it's presented. I had other synopses, but again, I think John hit it on the head. If you guys want to experience this game, I think it's better to just run in without that kind of
Yeah.
information.
And having played most of the first game and being a fan of the first game, a lot of the puzzling, a lot of the mystery is within the story, and you kind of figure that out on your own, and that's the fun part about the game.
Yeah.
Like you are between. Sorry to cut you off on what you were just about to say, but like
No, go nuts.
there are different aspects of the game. Like you are at a crime scene and collecting evidence and finding discrepancies in people's depositions, and then confronting them during the courtroom portion, and connecting dots, and finding lies in people's stories, or discrepancies in people's stories uh, based on the evidence that you had found. Um, it's one of those games where the gameplay really feeds the story, if that makes sense. Like everything that you are finding personally in a crime scene relates directly to characters that you're going to be talking to and persecuting, and or defending, I guess. I guess you are persecuting some people sometimes, depending on where cases go. But you are trying to unravel the truth in a case, and do your job well. So
Yeah, I mean, Ace functions as a defense attorney. So you know, like
Phoenix Wright.
or yeah, Phoenix Wright. Sorry,
He is an ace attorney.
he is.
He's
Yeah,
he
I
is
had the second game in
good
Ace Attorney,
attorney.
and I just read that as well. Phoenix. Yeah,
No, that's fine.
now I get Phoenix. Phoenix is what we're going to call him, I guess. Phoenix
Phoenix
is a defense attorney.
Yes. Sorry. Yeah.
But yeah, so you know, it's presenting evidence at the right time. It's questioning people in the right time. It's doing investigative pieces outside of a courtroom. So like the first episode is called "The Lost Turnabout." Just before entering court to defend police officer Maggie Bird on the charge of murdering her boyfriend Dustin Prince, Phoenix Wright is struck on the head and contracts amnesia. Despite having no memory of who he is or how to do his job, Wright must battle his amnesia to quit Bird. So that gives you like an idea. It's a little out there. That I mean, the idea that would happen, but that's this game has some fantastical elements to it. But from everything that I've seen, people just adore this game.
Yeah. Like there's a lot of like common sense and evidence, but there's also some mystical elements as well, which kind of helps break up the monotony of just a basic like CSI game.
Yeah, and you said you'd played the first one. The first one did not have those psych locks in, right?
No, the psych locks were a new thing for this game. They wanted to add something new to the series, but Shu Takumi wanted to keep it pretty simple still and pretty understandable for the average person. Like he wanted a game that his mom would be able to play through.
Yep.
And keeping something like, or making something like the psych lock, like it's easily understandable. Like you are slowly, it's just a visual representation of like slowly figuring out someone and figuring out their little secret and getting them to expose themselves.
Yeah.
So
the but yeah, like those cyclocks that he had mentioned, that John had mentioned the mystical elements of it, and that is actually a mystical element. That is a
yeah,
power and ability that he has, that most people don't. So it did take that more fantastical route. But again, it's a gameplay mechanic, and it's
yeah,
um, it seems interesting.
yeah,
It is something that I've, there wasn't a time long ago where I told people when I was streaming that I would not play visual novels, and then I played Corpse Party.
yeah.
And I've recently added 2 games to my list that are visual novels. AI, the Somnium Files, which is what we just talked about. The more that we explain this, the more I think that is an adult version, or a more mature take on elements of Phoenix Wright.
Sure.
But it becomes more and more intriguing to me, I guess. And this game just kind of furthered that a little bit. Is this something that I think I might want to take a closer look at myself? But I don't know. I have too much more on the gameplay. Again, this is one of those things where it's like, I don't know if I understand the game any better after my research. And that I think
Yeah.
the best way to understand it is to basically play the thing.
Right. And you have the basic grasp of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about characters. It's all about learning about and like talking to people and finding what stories people are presenting, and you put that up against the evidence that you're presenting. It is what court is. Obviously, this is based on Japanese court, even though I believe the North American localizations have this set in Los Angeles, but like
I think so. Yeah.
a fictional Los Angeles where like there's a lot of Japanese influence. Yeah. The localization of this game is actually a pretty interesting undertaking. It sounds like.
Do you have anything on the localization itself? Because I was going to go into a little bit of the actual development of the game, but if you have something on that, that'd be a perfect follow up to what I have.
Yeah. So basically, Justice for All, and I think going forward, the localization direction was handled by Janet Sue.
Okay, if you're going to go into localization, let me
Yeah.
go into the development of the game first.
Oh, sure.
And then
I thought you were telling me to go for the
No, sorry. I
stuff.
was if I didn't want to like sit you up and be like, I don't actually have anything on localization. Be like, oh, okay, cool. But so I found an interview, a couple articles actually on Silicon Era. Also, mad props to John for turning me on to the idea of looking at Silicon Era as a resource.
Oh, sure. That was just a random Google search.
Oh, perfect. Well, it's now one of the 43 tabs that I open every time I start searching for
Beautiful.
a game.
I noticed that when you were showing people your research process and you mentioned that, I'm like, no, I think I just had an article from there once that showed up in a Google search. But yeah, sure. They are a source.
There you go.
It's beautiful.
But this was an interview with Shu Takumi, who is the creator of Ace Attorney. Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney. I don't know. Just throwing myself off. But he was actually tasked with writing the entirety of Justice for All's script within 3.5 months. Which at first, when I read that, I was like, I don't know if that's a lot of time. I don't know if that's a little bit of time. But then I saw the first game took him roughly a month to write each episode. And I think that first game had 4 episodes, correct?
It did. Yeah.
Right.
And they wanted 5 for this one.
And Justice for All was supposed to have 5 episodes. So this is a quote from Takumi. I figured if I dedicated half a month per episode to writing just the dialogue, 5 episodes would take 2.5 months. That would leave me with just 1 month to draft the entire game story, prototype. Breaking that down even further, it meant that I only had 1 week to sketch out the plot and tricks for each episode. So he had a plan. He had an idea of what this would be. At the end of his script, this is what threw me out. This is what blew my mind. This is what I needed to help understand just what 3.5 months really meant. his completed script ended up being 1,500 pages.
Yeah.
In
It's a lot of
3.5
talking,
months.
man.
Yeah. Good Lord.
Yeah.
And then, piggybacking off of that article, I found something on Wikipedia that after all the hard work, the final chapter, the 5th chapter, ended up having to be cut from the game because the cart didn't have enough memory to hold that much of the game. So they ended up cutting it and included in the 3rd game as the 3rd chapter. So after all that work, having to crunch, ridiculously hard.
And even the current final chapter had to be like rearranged a bit and like reworked on because there still wasn't enough space. So they had to like change some things in it to make it fit, which is wild. I mean, if you think about it, it is a visual novel on the Game Boy Advance. If you're thinking about where they were developing it for, like, yes, we know this here as a DS game which would have a much larger cart, but this was just Game Boy Advance. Yeah, it's a completely different beast altogether for fitting stuff onto whatever memory that they have.
Yeah, so I mean, his back was against the wall to do something to make a script that large, and he's not just writing a script. There's things that he has to do to make make the story to make the story work, make the scenarios work. What are the challenges? Like, there's so much to think about. So it's really a tremendous achievement by him to make that all come together. So
yeah.
But yeah, if you have something on localization, then by all means.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's just when they localized the first game, they changed the setting from Japan to Los Angeles, apparently, to make it more palatable for North American audiences. But this game has more Japanese influence in it, which made it a little bit tougher to squeeze in as like, oh yeah, this is definitely Los Angeles. Here's all this Japanese stuff everywhere. So they had to make it more of a fictionalized version of Los Angeles. They had to pretend that there weren't certain histories with Los Angeles and Japanese culture, and make it so Japanese culture was more prolific in Los Angeles. So I found that to be very interesting. They also had to change a bunch of names for characters because they were in the Japanese version. A lot of this are actually just not just in the Japanese version, but when it was originally made, these games are pretty lighthearted. So there's a lot of jokes with people's names, a lot of puns. So they had to carry some of that stuff over into English, except for one of the chapters in this game actually kept pretty close to their Japanese names because it still worked. Like, it was an English joke in Japanese, weirdly enough. So yeah, you'd have to think about like what kind of work would have to go into. That guy wrote 1,500 pages for what were essentially five scenarios, which were pared down to 4. But then having to make all of that, which is predominantly for Japanese players and relating to Japanese culture, and bringing that over to a non-Japanese player base, and making that palatable for people here broadly, it has to be a ton of work, like a huge amount of work. I think that's part of the reason why it took so long for the games to come here as well, because that process would take forever.
Yeah, the amount of changes that need to be made, and as much as I went to the cutting room floor, and I I found one thing that had to be swapped out because of
Yeah,
a certain.
it looked like a phallic object.
Yeah, I
Is that,
did a
yeah,
banana and 2
I
oranges.
saw that.
Yeah, it was great. But it's I've got the link to the cutting room floor in the Discord. I haven't talked about the Discord
yeah.
much, but you guys should check the Discord out again this week. loaded it full of a whole bunch of really cool stuff that apply to these 3 games. But yeah, I mean, again, it goes. The localization was there was a lot of stuff to do. So, but yeah, that's kind of all I have with the game, the development. I did want to touch on Shu Takumi a little bit as a developer.
Sure. Yeah.
Do you have anything else that
Absolutely.
you want to? Okay.
No, I would like to hear about you.
So Shu, I don't have a ton, but I thought it was important. Shu was pulled on to work on the Resident Evil 2 game, but the first iteration that was not good.
Yeah, the one that was restarted.
Yeah, in fact, he was brought on to lead that project. And so that was that did not go well. But he was given a chance to then also work on Dino Crisis 1 and 2. Ultimately, the work that he accomplished, I thought it was important to call it the Resident Evil initial, him leading that project and it not going well. Yeah. But then he was eventually actually given free reign to work on whatever he wanted. So Phoenix Wright is his thing. That's the thing that like he was not directed to do this. This was his choice. He decided to make Phoenix Wright what it is. So and to his credit, that's he's made it into something pretty amazing. I mean, it's a game. Are there's still Phoenix Wright games coming out? I don't know.
Yes and no.
Yes and no.
I think they're kind of taking a break now, but
okay.
There's always a Phoenix Wright in the wings, I think. I mean, they did this trilogy. They moved on to a new protagonist with Apollo Justice, on I think 3DS.
Okay.
Is that no? Sorry, that was regular DS. It did eventually come to 3DS, iOS.
Yeah, it looks like the most recent release was, and it's known in Japan as Gyakuten Saiban 4, or well, Gyakuten Saiban, but the most recent one is Gyakuten Saiban 4 Collector's Package. It was released in 2017, so it's been a couple of years.
But another game that's kind of a cult favorite that he directed and wrote the scenario on was Ghost Trick.
Yes.
Which is a DS puzzle game that's also kind of a visual novel, but you play a ghost detective, and you kind of put your essence into objects to control them, to kind of do a Rube Goldberg scenario puzzle, like with whatever environment that you're in, to help solve crimes. So Ghost Detective's a really fun game. I think that one is also on mobile platforms. It's probably going to be the easiest way to play it. It's on iOS and DS. So you can play it on iPad and iPhone.
I mean, that's
I think
about all I have.
He's had a really cool career. I just don't know what he's currently up to besides he is writing the scenario for or quests for Monster Hunter Riders, which is a iOS and Android game.
Oh,
yeah, it's like a traditional RPG for Monster Hunter.
It might be a Monster Hunter that I actually enjoy then.
So there have been Monster Hunter Stories was a turn-based RPG that came out on 3DS a couple of years ago. And that one is kind of Pokemon-y with monsters, and there's a sequel to that coming out this year on Switch. So yeah, you might be interested in those. You should check those out.
Again, you're adding to my list of impossible games.
I mean, you just have to play Monster Hunter Rise with me instead.
Okay. I should try the demo just for my curiosity.
You should. It really does take some work to understand it. But you like Souls games, and it's a repeatable Souls game. Think about it that way.
I don't know. Anyways,
a communal Souls game. Hashtag Chris should play Monster Hunter with John in 2021. That's a long hashtag, but we're going with it.
That might be too many characters.
Speaking of long hashtags, let's hashtag rank 'em.
Yes, we should. But if you are interested in playing any of
Sure.
these games, the trilogy is on Steam for $29.99. Now, that being said, I did find a deal on isthereanydeal.com. So if you're listening to this, the deal is live for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can. I think it was 6 days. 5 days. You got 5 days left. You can get the game for $11.99. That's the full trilogy. That's a pretty good deal. It's actually from Games Planet, which I've had tons of great deals from.
Legit place.
If you want it on Switch, it's $29.99. If you want it on PlayStation 4, it is $14.99, half off until January 20th.
Yes.
And again, this is another
Japanese developer sale. It is also on Xbox One for $29.99.
Oh, okay. It is. All right.
So yeah, it's in all those places. I bought the Switch version because I think this game works very well as a handheld game.
Yeah, I think that the visual novel aspect and all that, I think it good mobility and stuff like that. Critical reception 76 on Metacritic with an 8.6 user score again. So that's the second game that's just beloved by its fans.
Yep.
So that's this was like an intimidating episode for me with Phoenix Wright and with Harvest Moon.
Sure.
Not knowing much about the franchises, but knowing the fans love those games, where I was like, oh, good, let's screw this up. So, but yeah, those are our 3 games, John. And yes, you're right. We should rank them.
Great.
Who started last week?
Oh,
John, don't let me down. You're okay. Did I?
You did. Well, all right. So let's say, I was gonna say odds you start, evens I start, but I'll start. Fine, I'll start it.
Okay.
Why not? Who cares?
All right. What is your number 3, John?
My number 3 game this week. Oh boy. I think it's probably gonna be Harvest Moon. Save the Homeland. And it's mainly because I think that this game is probably good. I can just never get into Harvest Moon games. I've tried over and over. Like I mentioned earlier in the podcast, whenever I start a Harvest Moon, I want to do everything right, and I want to do everything I can, but it doesn't necessarily let you, and it doesn't give you great direction on how to go about your days. I started this one and played like half an hour of it, and I started my first day on the farm, and it just tells you that you can do farm work. And so I started doing farm work, and then I got like exhausted where I couldn't do anything else. And it doesn't tell you about like, oh, maybe you should go to bed for the day. Or like, hey, you should go check out the town tomorrow. This is what you're doing today. I need a little bit of structure for the first few days, and it doesn't really give you that. Now that I know that you need to focus on certain characters in the village instead of like doing everything, I think I'm more likely to play it. I think this is one of those weeks where I want to play all 3 of these games, but this is going to be the one that I'm going to be probably going to last.
Okay.
So yeah. How about you?
Checks out.
What's number 3?
The good news is, John, we're not going to have the same list. Yeah. My number 3 is going to be Columns.
Sure.
Because even though I like it better than I like Tetris, I don't have any interest in these kind of games.
Fair.
Falling block puzzles, they're fun they're not fun. You know, that's just
I like it. I don't know why I said no. I find joy in these, but
I know a lot of people do. The thing that I briefly danced around earlier, I've seen Tetris listed as like, you know, on people's number 1 list of like greatest games of all time, and I'm sorry. You know, I get it's significant in a video game aspect, and I know we're not talking about Tetris, but they are fine games.
Yeah, just not in your wheelhouse.
But man, video games have come so far. I do not want to play a puzzle game that involves falling blocks. I don't want to play a puzzle game really at all. But if I have to play a falling block one, I'm especially out. So that is Columns. You're cooler than Tetris. You're still my number 3. John, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is going to be Columns. I was actually very surprised by it. I liked it more than I remember liking it. I understand it now. Um, I do want to check out different versions of it because I do agree with you that it gets pretty tough pretty quickly. Uh, and there is I feel like it ramped up slower than that, but like if you play for 5 minutes, you are gonna be thrown into the deep end pretty quick.
Yeah, it was
Um,
tough.
it's pretty rough. But I do like the tic tac toe nature of it. It's very different from other block puzzlers, and yeah, I think I might go back to this sometime this week just to have a couple play sessions with it. So yeah, that columns is my number 2 for this week. Chris,
Perfect.
number 2.
My number 2 is Harvest Moon,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know why.
Because it's above a block puzzler.
I know but here's my problem with Harvest Moon, and I hate I'm being kind of negative tonight, I guess. But it's Harvest Moon, Stardew Valley. All of these games seem like such a good idea until I play them, and then I'm in it for 5 minutes, and
Yeah.
I'm just like, this is just
It doesn't hold your
chores.
attention. Yeah.
Yeah, it's and Stardew Valley. I was so sad when I realized that Stardew Valley was the first actual real Harvest Moon thing that I'd tried, and this was supposed to be the best version of Harvest Moon, and it may very well be, but when I was playing it, I just it almost immediately I was like, no, this is just chores. This isn't fun at all. Which, my opinion, I know there's people love this game. There's cryophilic streamers that I am very good friends with that love this game. I don't mean to talk bad about it, but this game is very, very far from what I want to do. But it still sounds like such a good idea. Like, that's the thing.
Yeah.
For some reason, something about the concept of Harvest Moon, of Stardew Valley, it sounds like such a good idea, but I just, in 5 minutes, I'm just like, no, I'm bored. So
yeah.
That's why it's ahead of columns, but it's alarmingly close.
Yeah.
John, what's your number 1?
Yeah, so I think we're gonna match with number 1 this week. My number 1 is Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, Justice for All. Like I said before, I played the first one. I liked it. Don't know why I dropped off. Other things probably came up. I drop games all the time. But I never played Justice for All because I never finished the first one. And I would like to play through this original trilogy because I hear it's very good. Yeah, I really don't have much more than that. It's a great. I know you mentioned before that you're not too into puzzle games, but this is a fun kind of puzzle for me. It's a mental exercise in putting pieces together in a story, and trying to absolve your defendant of the crime that they're charged of. It's got a neat premise. The characters are endearing. It's fun to experience and to look at. There's a great energy to it. And I think more people should play Phoenix Wright again, or try for the first time if they haven't. There's a million ways to play it. I would say play that. Also, if you haven't, play the Professor Layton games. It's tangentially, or it's yeah, I guess tangentially connected. There is a Phoenix Wright versus Professor Layton game that was done in conjunction with Nintendo, or with Level 5, I guess, and Nintendo. But yeah, check out a Phoenix Wright. Start from the beginning. You might as well. What have you got to lose? I actually, I think on the mobile versions of this game, I think they give you like the first chapter for free.
Okay.
So you can just like jump in, see the mechanics, see if you like it.
That might actually be the route that I take.
Yeah, do it. It's great.
Yeah. So I mean, to piggyback off, Phoenix Wright is also my number one. So I mentioned, I don't know, 10 minutes ago that I was nervous about this episode because at least two of the games, I know their fans love these games. But then I looked at these three games and I'm like, oh my God, every one of these are games that I just don't have that interest in. Phoenix Wright ends up being number one, kind of based on recency though, because of my not renewed, but maybe newly found mild, let's not get too excited, mild interest in visual novels. With
You're about
Corpse
to start
Party.
one tomorrow.
Yeah, I finished Corpse Party. I'm about to start 13 Sentinels tomorrow. I played a demo for the AI Somnium Files this week, which I was intrigued by, and I think it's one of those things that I think I could get into if I streamed it, but only if I streamed it. So that's where Phoenix Wright, I think, comes in. Again, it's weird because even after my research, I don't know how to play this game. I don't know how it works. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll understand it once I get into it, I'm sure. But no matter, like, you can't get a good idea of how this game works until you play it. So I think I have to play it. It has the fandom behind it. It has the support. You see it in the Moby scores. You see it in one of the resources that I use on a weekly basis, which is I don't pull things from it really ever yet. But it's always kind of, we explore the gameplay, we explore the development, the historical significance of how it relates to video games, the connections within the industry. But one thing that I always find super fascinating is the fandom and the cultural significance surrounding it. So one of the websites that I check is DeviantArt, and I look at the stuff that fans have created with a safe filter on. Wanting to see,
coward,
just what that fandom looks like and how much exists there. And it's there's a ton of stuff there. These people love these games, and DeviantArt is not the only thing that I pull up. There's, like I said, there's Etsy and other things as well, just because I think that stuff is so much fun. But I think the fandom for this game specifically is enough to drive me to, along with kind of the new interest in certain visual novels, that this could be one that I do try. I'm not committing to it, but it's one that I'm more interested in than the other two.
Yeah. Good. I'm glad. Yeah. I'm also surprised that we went through this whole Phoenix Wright section without a hold it or an objection, or any of the memes from Phoenix Wright. I had to say those just so people know that we know about them.
If you check the Discord and you go down to the first screenshot, that is where I placed my objection.
Great. Excellent. Have you ever seen Phoenix Wright in Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3?
No. Now you're throwing fighting games at me. What else would you like to throw at me that I dislike?
No, just a weird character where, like, his mechanic is he has to find like 3 pieces of evidence. Like you have a command to look at the ground for evidence. And then when you have all 3 pieces, you get some sort of like special move, or he like powers up in some way. But yeah, he's a wacky character in that game. It's pretty great.
Wow, interesting.
You should look into.
He still like punches and kicks, right?
Kinda, yeah. He points. He yells objection. The text cloud does damage. So
okay, perfect. They stayed super true to character.
Yes, absolutely.
That's impressive.
Yeah. So that's our rankings for this week.
That's an episode.
That's an episode.
Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. If you'd like to be a part of the show, please reach out to pgshowinbox@gmail.com. You can reach out to the PG Show Twitter. You can reach out to our individual Twitters if you'd like. I am CW719 on Twitter. John, you are?
I am John_Carson.
Perfect. You can always go to the Patreon, patreon.com/procedurally generated. we share some stuff there. We actually have a community vote that needs to be posted in a couple of days for our final show of the month, where you guys get to cast your vote and decide what game we cover for the last game.
Need to be decided before we record episode 12 on January 19th.
Yes. Is that right?
So,
Let me go gadget calendar.
That gives us a week.
A week for the... Yes, you're right. Because, okay. Yes.
Yep.
Good on you. No, hold on.
Yes.
Yes. No. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Last Tuesday. Yep. Yes. Yep. John's
I know
right.
Johnuary. I'm well in tune with this month.
Hashtag John's not wrong. We can also reach out to us on the Discord, or just be a part of the community on the Discord. Discuss the shows, discuss the games individually. If you have some sort of connection to these games, we want to hear about it. We want to know what made it special for you. We can only research as far as, if we don't have personal experience with the game, we can only go as far as what we find on the internet. We're eager to hear you guys' stories about these games. Why are they special? Why did you love them? Why did you hate them? And all that good stuff. So join in on the conversation there. And then, most importantly, if you could leave us a positive review on whatever site or app you're using to listen to this podcast, that would be fantastic. Oh, I guess there's one other spot that I didn't mention. YouTube. We have YouTube comments as well.
You should like, comment, and subscribe.
Ooh.
Smash that like. Smash that subscribe.
I need to go
smash those keys for comments.
Yes. Do all those things.
Yeah. If you weren't around for Chris's Corpse Party stream, those VODs are going up on the Procedurally Generated channel, not Chris's YouTube channel.
Nope.
He graciously let us put it onto the new channel.
I graciously did that. Otherwise, it wasn't going to go up on YouTube at all. So
perfect. And more stuff will be going up on there soon. But yeah, if you subscribe there, then you can listen to the podcast there. Any other videos that we do end up putting up there will pop up in your feed. So I would say subscribing, if you like our content, is a good thing to do.
Yes, absolutely. We appreciate everybody who has been supporting the channel, both through listens and views, and has been saying kind words on the Twitter and I called it the Twitter. Oh, God, I'm old. On Twitch.
Are you 60?
I know. It's embarrassing.
MySpace.
The MySpace. I almost made a parlor joke. I better not. Anyways, well, also our patrons. The patrons, we need to thank the patrons.
I mean, no one's on Parler anymore.
No one's on Parler anymore. That's true. But let us thank Mecha Sprite and Young Hydra, our platinum patrons. Thank you guys so much. Xchin, our gold patron.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cassidy Newmans, Catherine Weber, Lone Wolf, and Tim G and Tori Glumac, our silver patrons. Thank you guys. Aussie Gamer, Brandon Johnson, Jason Daphnis, and John Carson. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for reading off all those wonderful names of all of our wonderful supporters. That list has been growing, and
it has.
I'd
it's
like
now
to see
actually
that.
above $100.
We are now actually above $100. I pulled the trigger on the YouTube channel before. Well,
you did
technically before because of fees and whatnot. But
I wonder. Yeah, I'm not sure why it took so long to show, because it would have been 102 anyways. I don't know. Anyways,
so I think someone had suspended their payments for a bit.
Oh,
and
is that the thing?
re-enabled them for January. So.
Perfect.
Yep.
Well, now we're officially above $100, which means we're officially past our goal, and we're on our way to our second goal. So, thank you guys for all the support. Thank you guys for all the help. We'll continue to try to make this show better and better. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess we don't have too much else, huh?
No, I think that's it.
That's the show. All right. Have yourself a great week. Rest of the week, weekend, whenever you listen to this, whatever the rest of your day. and we'll talk to you guys next time.
All right. Catch you guys later.